Okay, you've just run a marathon and now you're thinking, I want to get faster at 5K because I know that will lead into a faster marathon time. But the moment you hear speed work, you panic because last time it left you injured. I get it, but here's the truth. You don't need to hammer yourself to build speed. You just need the right approach. And today I'm going to give it to you. I've coached a lot of runners through this exact transition. And there's one thing that I see. They'll go from marathon training to try to, within 1 to 2 weeks, smashing out 5K intervals, and guess what? It leads to either over fatigue or worse, injury. So this isn't about smashing out kilometer repeats. It's about working with the right method, the right approach, so that you can go from the training that you have been doing seamlessly to where you want to get to for the 5K, so that that feeds nicely into your marathon time. Here are 4 sessions that will help you get exactly where you want to get to for the 5K without that added risk of injury of jumping straight into 5K training. So let's say you spent time at marathon pace, 4:15 per kilometer or 6:52 per mile. And when you were doing intervals, you were going quicker than that, which was helping you make marathon pace feel easier. And let's say you were running 4 minutes per kilometer or 3:45 for shorter and longer intervals. 4 minutes is 6:26 per mile. Now what we want to do is reassess the goal. So how long was it since we've done an interval session, since we've gone quick? If that was a couple of months ago, start very cautiously and start well below where you left off in terms of pace, so slower than when you left off. You're no longer the athlete that you was 2 months ago. It's very quick to get back, but don't try to pick up where you left off. Now, let's use that example time, sub 3 hours for the marathon, 4:15 per kilometer, 6:52 per mile. What we're going to do for session 1 is 2 times 15 minutes with 60 seconds rest in between. So you'll already know from marathon training that they're long reps. And the beauty of this is that you cannot get into trouble, or it's very hard to get into trouble because they're longer reps. So if you set off too quick, you're going to be exhausted by 3, 4, 5 minutes, and you're not going to be able to complete the first rep, let alone the second rep. But what we're doing is we're starting from longer intervals, remembering how we're moving over the ground when we're trying to go a bit quicker. And what that might feel like for you is it's no longer conversational when you're in that 15 minutes. You're no longer in zone 2. What it feels like now is you could get a sentence out. You're in zone 3. You could get a sentence out if you wanted to, but you prefer to focus on what you're doing. What we're doing is letting the pace come to us by putting the right effort level in so that we can look at both of those reps. They're very consistent, very well judged, and we know much easier how to judge a 15-minute rep than we would do a 1 or 2 minute rep when there's 20 of them. So using the example of the 3-hour marathon runner who's been doing a little bit of work at 4 minutes per kilometer and 3:45, what this would look like is, okay, I'm pushing into zone 3 and maybe towards the top of zone 3. And for me, that might be, okay, we can get to that 4 minutes per kilometer and not much more. But if that has to be 4:15, your previous marathon pace, or even slower because it's been a couple of months, no problem at all. It's all about judging the effort for the 2 15-minute reps. So the heart rate is going nicely up, stable, recovering nicely in that 60 seconds, and then able to hit it again. It really is always about control and managing the session. And if you think about it, it can't be anything different to that. You cannot lose control and let the heart rate graph. Otherwise, it's unsustainable. And worse than that, you're in an injury risk zone that doesn't make any sense. It's not conducive of good consistency over the weeks and months, that good progress that we're looking for. Now, in order to make sure that we're hitting that consistency of the reps, we want to warm up to a point where you're probably used to this if you've been watching the channel for the marathon training, but we want to get used to that effort level that we want to put into the initial rep. So we're figuring that out. So what it looks like for me is I'm walking for 500 meters. Is the body ready to do this session? That's what I'm thinking. So is the previous quality session soaked in? Is there any soreness, tightness, anything I need to stop and stretch? Am I ready to do it? Or do I need to turn this into an easy run again and try to sort of back off and push this forward one day and do it tomorrow? That's what I'm thinking. Then it's a light jog. Then it's dynamic stretching. Then I'm gradually accelerating more. And then I'm getting to a point where I can do for these 15-minute reps, I can do 2 times 2 minutes at the effort level, at the heart rate that I want to hit the first rep for. Now, what it might feel like for you is you're nice and fresh. You just finished a warm-up and you're good to go. So 2 times 2 minutes is nothing compared to what we're going to do. If you need to elongate those reps slightly and do 2 times 3 minutes or 2 times 4 minutes and get yourself ready for those 2 times 15 minutes and let your heart rate get up to the effort level that you want to be at, that's a great tactic. And again, it's going to lead to higher quality sessions, consistency and quality execution, consistency over the weeks and months. And that's going to lead to as much forward progress as you can possibly get. Session number 2, 3 times 10 minutes with 60 seconds rest in between. So what we're doing here is we're reducing the length of the rep, but we're doing the same volume. And we're doing 30 minutes of volume. That's a lot of volume to be running quick at, especially with longer reps. Again, it's going to help slow you down so that you can't get yourself into trouble. But we can go slightly quicker or put more effort in the 10-minute reps, split up into 3, than we could the 15-minute reps split up into 2. So 30 minutes, split up into 2, 15 minutes. So what that's going to feel like is we can push a bit harder. We're going to warm up in exactly the same way. We're going to feel that effort level out. We're going to be able to put that little bit more extra effort in or get more pace from the same effort that we were running in the 15-minute intervals. Exactly what we need right now. We've come from marathon training. We're a little bit tentative when it comes to speed, but we're getting gradually shorter with the reps, so we're gradually able to up that pace. Session 3, 4 times 7.5 minutes with 60 seconds rest in between. Again, 30 minutes worth of volume, a lot of volume, but nicely broken down into 4 now, not that initial 2 reps and the second week of 3 reps. Again, what we should feel like is we're warming up properly, we're feeling that effort out, and then we're hitting these reps a bit quicker for probably the same effort, or we're able to put that little bit more extra effort in and get more pace. But we're not striving for a set pace right now. We're not even trying to be the runner that we were 2 months ago if we've left it. It's all about who you are right now, the athlete, the body that you've got right now, physically, physiologically, and moving that forward over the weeks and being patient with it. Best thing when it comes to speed, just be patient with it. I cannot stress enough how much it's to do with execution, how little at this point is to do with pace, how much is to do with effort. Gradually accelerate into the rep and decelerate on the back end. Focus on that recovery during the 60 seconds. Again, long reps, short recovery, but we're focused on consistency over the 7.5 minute reps, getting that effort level up and sustainable, and then recovering nicely in between, which means that the session is sustainable, it's manageable, and it's controllable for us. Session 4, 6 times 5 minutes with 60 seconds rest in between. So all of a sudden, we've gone in a few weeks from running a 15-minute rep, where we're just gradually pushing into zone 3, maybe hitting the top of zone 3 for 15 minutes. Now we're doing a third of the rep length. We're doing 6 of them though, so 6 times 5 minutes. We're able to give a little bit more, put a little bit more effort level in, but even if we were to keep the same effort level as that initial 15-minute rep, we'd get more pace out of it for 2 reasons. Because it's a shorter rep, but because we're more used to pushing our body a little bit faster over the ground, and we're becoming more efficient at it, becoming more experienced with it, and all without going into the injury risk zone of you going from marathon training a couple of months ago, yeah, I've been running 2-3 times a week, now we're getting into 5K training, that means I want to get that 18:30, I want to get that sub 18 minutes, therefore all my work is going to be at 3:30, 3:45 per kilometer. Again, you're just in this injury risk zone that doesn't make any sense, and you're doing too much too soon. The things that really help me keep myself in check and realize I've got to play the long game and I've got to be patient, I've got to have that delayed gratification, is the 5 quickest ways for you to get injured, to get into trouble, is too much overall volume too soon, too much volume on one day, so too much of a long run too soon, too much speed too soon, too many hills too soon, or too much of a different terrain. And so what we're doing here is we gradually insert in this speed by coming at it from longer reps. What also helps me is understanding that every single session is going to move you forward 1%. And if you think like that, then if you get to, okay, we're doing 6 times 5 minutes, but at 5 times 5 minutes, I've misjudged this, I've mispaced it, and therefore that last rep I'm going to leave. It's not within your character to not finish the work. So you have to be very disciplined in order to do that. But what it feels like once you get that self-aware is all of a sudden you've got more consistency and that appreciation for that 1%. And what it will lead to is more progress over the weeks, the months, and the years, the training schedules, and less setbacks. If you think of slow and steady, always wins the race, always, always. You can have a great few weeks training and you can move forward and you can feel like, oh wow, I do 6 times a kilometer way faster than I used to be. It's about the bigger picture. It's about the training schedule. It's about the 6 months. It's about the year. If you know that this is an area of your running, that if you improved, it's gonna open a whole different level of performance, and that's your speed, then this is a great way to get into it without the risk and without going into that risk zone where, oh, I might get hurt and that might take me away from what I love doing. And I was like that for a little while. And then once you figure out a little approach like this that will take you exactly where you want to go without the risk, then it means that that extra level of performance is available for you whilst reducing the risk of injury. If you think about it like it's a different skill, for you to be running marathon in 4:15 per kilometer or 6:52 per mile, it's almost a different skill to being able to run a 5K as fast as you possibly can. Let's say 3:20 or 3:30 per kilometer. So when it comes to inserting a skill, let's do that gradually. I'll put on the screen a couple of examples of recent people who've made massive gains, 20% faster and 30% faster with their marathons.